Since their initial release, Honor devices have been considered affordable versions of certain more expensive Huawei phones, but with some budget cuts. These cuts were mostly performance downgrades, tailored to justify the phone's price tag, but also not to compromise the Huawei models. This time around, Honor 20 Pro promises to bridge the performance gap more than ever before. If today was May 26th, the day this phone was announced, we will be talking about a flagship killer phone, but despite the events that have unfolded, a couple of months later, Honor 20 Pro still holds its own as a damn good phone. Regardless of the price range, one thing that all Honor phones traditionally have in common is that you would always get your money's worth, if not more. Honor 20 Pro raises the bar pretty high though by announcing the European price of 600 euros, which is almost $660, a price range with some pretty ruthless competition, which leaves this phone little to no room for mistake. With beautifully balanced dimensions, neither too long nor too wide a screen, the Honor 20 Pro makes a very good first impression. The boring monolithic black block look on the front is refreshed with a punch hole camera located in the top left corner. While the front side doesn't leave much space for design experimentation, the back side was literally made for that, using the 3-layer dynamic holographic glass technology, which gives you a different look every time you look at the phone. This was accomplished by a layer of prismatic elements that refract light and illuminate adjacent prisms, creating the illusion of depth, the so-called 3D effect. Aside from the shiny back, the rest of the device seems quite plain, though we do not mean that in a bad way. The metal frame gives a solid feel to the entire device, so after only a few days of use, we can confirm that Honor 20 Pro is a very well made phone with any unwanted features like crunching, twisting, and crackling. On the other hand, the curved glass on both sides of the edges of the frame metal make this phone one of the most slippery phones we've encountered so far. All the elements are located on their most common positions. The drawer with the 2 nano SIM slots is to the left. On the bottom we have USB 2.0 Type-C port, microphone and a speaker, while on the top there's another microphone, the IC port, and along on the edge the speaker of the handset. The volume control rocker is on the right with minimal lateral movement, and just below it a slight recess houses a power button with an integrated fingerprint scanner. This button position on Honor 20 Pro shows as a great solution. The key is in a natural position so the thumb sits nicely in the middle of the right side. The sensor is lightning fast and in most cases won't require you to press it, but merely lean your finger on it. The IC sensor was a pleasant surprise as this is a useful accessory we rarely see in new phones. We also wish Honor had an app that came with the phone, as Huawei does with smart remotes on its premium devices. This is why you will have to rely on some third-party applications from the Play Store, which among other things means questionable compatibility and tons of ads that you are likely to distract you from using your air conditioner, TV, and other devices. Thanks to the opening in the upper left corner of the screen that houses the Honor 20 Pro camera, it achieved a screen-to-body ratio of nearly 92%. The front that houses the large 6.3-inch screen uses one visual trick already seen on laptops a few years back. The frame of the phone is wider than the screen and curved, followed by another curved part which then connects to the screen, bringing these 3 elements together into one whole, which visually hides the real border between the case and the screen. In addition to the punch hole camera in the corner, the sensors in the grille of the handset had to be located on the narrow top edge of the phone. In the left corner of the grille, underneath the surface, is a notification LED, which the sensors are located on the left near the handset. You will also notice the lack of 3.5mm headphone jack, which is a trend that many don't like, but the issue is somewhat resolved with the USB-C to 3.5mm adapter that comes with the package. The box comes with a 22.5 watt fast charger, USB-C cable, and the aforementioned 3.5mm adapter. And this time around, Honor has decided not to ship a silicone case or headphones with the phone. What distinguishes Honor phones from the more expensive Huawei models is the lack of screen protection from scratches, like the Gorilla Glass for example. On the other hand, the phone comes with a nice factory-fitted foil that is only noticeable around the front camera, and we wouldn't recommend removing it. Instead of the popular OLED screens that provide fantastic black levels, Honor uses a high-quality IPS display whose only downside is that it's not an OLED screen. This means slightly higher power consumption, not as many details in the dark color spectrum, and slightly lower contrast than the best displays on the market. In all other situations, you will be pleased with the sharp high-resolution IPS screen with excellent viewing angles and very decent color rendering. Display settings are available in the phone's menu, where you can choose between normal and vibrant mode and the default warm and cool colors. For the most demanding users, there is a color palette wheel where you can choose the color temperature to your liking. As with other punch hole models, there is a slight bleed effect on the bottom and around the front camera. Thanks to the aforementioned side-facing trick, the bezels look smaller than they really are, most noticeably on the underside, further mitigated by the round corners of the screen. The entire rear camera system consists of 4 lenses, an LED flash, and autofocus laser system. Although it's the most advanced solution on the market, the laser focusing system is limited to 1 up to 2 meters on this phone, which makes it useful only for portraits and very specific situations. In other situations, you will need to rely on phase detection autofocus. The main wide-angle 28mm camera features the best Sony IMX586 48MP sensor and a very high aperture of f1.4, the already mentioned dual focus system, and optical image stabilization. It uses quad Bayer technology that combines 4 pixels into 1 to produce a 12MP photo. The advantages of this technology are greater sharpness, better performance in low light conditions, and less noise, which in practice has been proven true, so we strongly recommend using this resolution for imaging. When it comes to night photography, that's the time for the quad Bayer technology to shine, as it delivers high detailed images with good focus and decent good color reproduction. The vignetting around the perimeter of the frame is noticeable, but the image is still very usable and above average for this class of device. Underneath, we have an 80mm focal length telephoto lens with 3x optical zoom. The sensor has 8 megapixels paired with the necessary optical stabilization, which has proven very good in use. Aperture of maximum f2.4 will discourage you from shooting in low light conditions, primarily because of the limited sensors that will take photos with a pronounced amount of background noise. Surprisingly, in daylight, the camera is not far behind the quality offered by the primary camera, with good dynamic range, decent colors, and no loss of detail at 3-point zoom. Honor camera software also allows a 5x hybrid zoom, which is surprisingly good with minimal detail loss and sufficient light. The third camera is a wide-angle type with 16 megapixels and f2.2 aperture. With 13mm focal length, the frame is quite wide, but remember that you don't have image stabilization and autofocus, so the images are mediocre at best. Colors are a bit less saturated, and you will need to rely on manual focus to find the element you want to be sharpest. The fourth camera is located next to the LED and is a macro sensor with only 2 megapixels available and a fixed focus of 4 centimeters. Since macro photography requires enough light, photos are surprisingly good in daylight, while in poor light conditions one should not even try because the noise is too large. The macro sensor has to be activated as a super macro option from the scene menu, which is completely illogical since the other 3 lenses have their shortcuts. On the other side of the phone, we have a sensor with massive 32 megapixels and an aperture of f2.0 without the pixel coupling technology. As expected, the focus is set at the optimum distance, just as far as your arm can reach out, and 32 megapixels deliver a very detailed and sharp photo. The colors are precise, the dynamic range is correct, and the bokeh effect is created by software due to lack of depth sensors. The portrait detects the subject nicely and separates it from the rest of the frame, but as a software effect, long hair can be problematic, which remains an enigma for this algorithm. When it comes to video, it is possible to shoot 4K with all 3 camera sensors depending on the frame you want to achieve. With the main and telephoto lens, electronic stabilization will be combined with optical, eliminating most movements and shakes that would compromise video quality. Electronic stabilization is available in all video modes, and it seems to give better results in Full HD than in 4K. The video reflects the quality of the photos for each sensor, respectively, so the best result will be given by the main camera, while the telephoto lens will give you a slightly darker image due to a smaller aperture and not as good color reproduction on an ultra-wide sensor. With the chipset that was reserved until a month ago for only the strongest Huawei and Honor models, performance-wise, this phone is ready to take on even the fastest competitors. Of course, we're talking about the high silicone Kirin 980, which is present in devices such as Huawei Mate 20 Pro and P30 Pro. The phone has 8GB of RAM and 256GB of internal storage, while the graphics are powered by a 10-core Mali G76 MP10 GPU. Synthetic performance results are on par with other devices that use the same chipset, but the hands-on experience felt quite better, both with applications and games. Honor 20 Pro comes with an advanced cooling with an extra layer of superconductors, graphene, which allows for better heat transfer and therefore lowest temperatures over longer playing time, as well as no performance degradation due to heating. Thanks to the power-saving chipset and a massive 4000 mAh battery, the Honor 20 Pro will provide excellent battery life, and as we know, the main advantage of Kirin 980 chipset is low power consumption when not loaded. On the other hand, if you plan on playing a lot, plan ahead your time until you have access to the charger, because when all 8 cores and graphics are on, the last thing this chipset thinks of is battery saving. During our test, the battery provided almost 2 whole days of use. We took the phone off the charger first thing in the morning, used it without some long gaming sessions or an overly active screen, and the next charge was needed in the evening of the next day. Also, thanks to the quick charge option, the battery can be charged to 50% in less than 30 minutes. Huawei and Honor are known to share a UI, which is called the Magic UI on the Honor phone and EMUI on the Huawei devices. This graphical interface provides a distinctive look as well as an additional functionality thanks to the added software layer over the Android 9 operating system. The 2.1 version of the Magic UI is almost identical to EMUI 9.1, which means a recognizable system without an app drawer with a simple system of eliminating active applications and selecting a screen sharing option from the mentioned list. The camera interface is usual for this manufacturer, with proven good navigation and scroll mode sections at the bottom of the screen. These options are adjusted for each mode separately by clicking the gear icon in the upper right corner, while zooming or switching from one lens to another is done via quick menu with the labels 0.5, 1, 3, and 5 times. In addition to performance, design is the Honor 20 Pro's biggest weapon, but also its biggest enemy. Such a beautiful look was achieved at the expense of a firm grip on the phone. Do not hesitate for a moment, the Honor 20 Pro is incredibly slippery and we would suggest getting a protection case. As the screen does not have an additional scratch coating, there is a reason to insert some better protection. We also noticed that the base of the camera section is dust and dirt magnet, so you need to constantly wipe it because it's such a shame to leave a well-designed phone like this dirty, even if it's for just a second. With a price tag of around 600 euros, the Honor definitely belongs to the upper middle class, packed with very strong competition. But of course, we have to mention that Honor 20 Pro also comes with a couple of strong points: a powerful chipset, great performance, and a solid camera system that allows for flexible use in different conditions with both the rear and front camera. Excellent battery life is a serious plus, and the lack of OLED display didn't pose as big of a downside. When you add both optical zoom and great performance, Honor 20 Pro is the real contender in the upper middle category of smartphones. Thank you once again for watching Bench House. Don't forget to subscribe and also leave a like and comment below the video. See you next time.